Thank you. Good afternoon to you all. Thank you for having me on this day. It's good to see you all. It's always important for me to say thank you as a former seminarian for all the work that you did in helping me along in my own seminary formation. So it's always good to come back as a priest to say, return on investment. This isn't, there's just a small repayment. But yeah, I just can't even imagine, we used to get, a couple $100 here or there, Knights of Columbus, Serra. But now that all that gets you is a Big Mac meal at McDonald's. So I don't know, you gotta start giving $10,000 to the seminarians just to get them through. Anyway, so I'm very grateful to Serra and all you do, especially obviously in terms of your prayers. Probably the time in my life where I felt intercessory prayer most tangibly, like truly, I would just sit there and pray. But I just felt like other people praying for me. It was the days before my ordination. Like I knew like I should be nervous and I should be scared, but I knew that so many people were praying for me, and I really felt that. So don't underestimate. We never know the fruits of our prayers till we're all in heaven together and talking about it. But the power of prayer is like. And think about what to talk about. It's like, what do I tell these people? They know everything. What could I possibly tell them? So I don't need to tell you, but just as a reminder for all of us, the importance of intercessory prayer, especially for those in religious formation. They're very targeted by, the devil and tempted by all sorts of things, especially discouragement. That's just a kind of classic thing. And if you pray for the people in formation, that's the greatest gift of all. So thank you for that on my own behalf, and then for all of those who are in formation. And that let's give a little exhortation. That will give you an update maybe at the University of Mary, what's going on out there, and then I don't know. I'm worried about this table, but I think they put all the troublemakers at one table right here. I'm worried about that, but I'm happy to take some Q&A. But yeah, we'd be monitoring this table. They might lose their Q privileges if they don't watch it. But anyway, I think we're at this time where Bishop Kagan, who's been here for so long, he ordained me. I remember when he was announced as our next bishop, and the excitement of that. But I was a little trepidatious. But he's submitted his resignation. It still hasn't been accepted by the Pope, so he's still our bishop. But that's we live kind of day to day, knowing that our bishop could be gone and a new bishop could be appointed. We're in a time of transition in terms of presidential leadership in our country, and I think one of the things that can tempt us in old age, it's funny, like the college students, which I'll tell you about, they're great in a lot of different ways, but they don't care about like the news, like even a little more than they used to. Like when I was in high school and college and stuff, like didn't really even, like when I was in high school, no one even knew that. When I taught high school at St. Mary's, people are a little bit more engaged in the political process, but they're not worried about that as much. They're worried about finding a spouse or joining seminary religious life or, what job they're going to have. They're more kind of focused in on the things ahead of them. Then I thought maybe it was just a generational thing, like, the greatest generation grew up with, who is the Walter Cronkite, whatever. And it's like you sat down the news and different. I grew up with Tom Brokaw, that's my guy. But maybe it's just a generational shift. But what I've noticed now is, as you see younger people getting older, it's something that kind of happens as you get older. And I think it's tied into a personal spiritual journey where you're starting to lose, and we're all in the same boat here, which is headed towards, earthly demise. I hate to break it to all of us. We're all in it together, from the moment we're conceived, that's where we're all going. So it's not a shock. But I think that the longer you go on, I think the more worried you get about the state of the world, and like, oh, things are going bad in the church or things are going bad in the world. And like, of course, like, yes, they are. But that's been the case since the beginning, right? Like when Jesus came to earth, there was a bad leader, right? The Caesars, Pontius Pilate, not a very good politician, Herod, all these people. And he didn't solve that. Like he didn't end that himself. What did he do? He gave us a way to do something even more important with the worldly powers, right? Religious life, like the life of the faith. Read the Old Testament. I mean, they're always messing it up. They're always making horrible decisions. The prophets are always saying, if you do this, you're going to get destroyed, and they do it, and then they say, okay, but God will never abandon you, right? And even sometimes we give the Old Testament a bad rap, but God says, I'll judge you for 3 or 4 generations, but I'll show mercy on the 1,000th generation. So his judgment goes for 3 and 4 generations, which you can kind of see how that works. The sins of parents, they kind of last for 3 or 4 generations, but God's mercy is for 1,000 generations. Think about the length of time of 1,000 generations. It's an exaggeration. It stands in for eternity. God's mercy endures forever is another line from the Old Testament. And how much more is that proven true in this Christmas season where we celebrate the coming of God as an infant to save us from our sins? Not to save us from our struggles in the sense of preventing us from ever having suffering, but giving us a way out of those things. And so when we look out at the world and we get worried, that's never the right spiritual reaction. Like, worry or anxiety is never the correct relation I should have with the events that are going on in the church or the world. How do I know this? Because Jesus says so. Don't be anxious. That's what he says. He literally just says that. He says, consider the lilies of the field. What do they do to worry about their life? And yet God provides for all they need. He says the same thing about sparrows, and then he says this great line, you're worth more than many sparrows. So that's nice. He's counted every hair on our head, right? He knows every hair on our head. He knows everything that we do. He knows every thought that we have. He knows what's going on in the world. We should pray, obviously, for the church and for the world, and we do. But we shouldn't worry about the world. Like the world as we know it is passing away, St. Paul says. This earth is subject to futility. Of course it's crashing and burning. That's the point. The point, like St. Peter says in his epistle, is to take the boat of salvation to emancipate us from this world. And then when we realize that, then we can do our little part on this earth to try to get everybody on the boat that we can get on the boat. And yes, to establish the kingdom of God on earth, but we know the world as we know it is passing away. We know that, right? And the church is in crisis. The church is in crisis. Yes, like perpetually. The church is always in crisis. It's always facing challenges. It's always facing leadership problems. It's always facing fracture and schism and heresy. Just read the history of the church. Of course this is happening. And so it's beautiful to be with you guys, you all here, that witness to that constancy of what the church truly is and to provide for the church in all these generations. Father Clemmer was ordained during the LBJ administration. That's how far back that goes. So he's seen some change, and here he is, faithful. Many of you have seen many bishop changes. Many of you have seen many cultural shifts, and here you are being faithful to the gospel. This is the hope. This room right here, this is the hope that we have. The church perseveres through every generation. It's not a cause for anxiety and worry. It's a cause for, I can't believe this thing still is going, the Catholic faith, right? That's the shock. The shock is it's still working. The shock is the Serra Club's still around. The shock is the Light of Christ school system is around, or the University of Mary, or whatever the case might be. That's the miracle. The miracle is that our faith has persevered through the ages. And there's no evidence that it's going away. And even there's a lot of evidence that it isn't going away. So you can think a lot of people point to places like Belgium, like the faith is dying in Belgium. No, Belgium is dying. Like Belgium, they're just not having kids. They're not, Belgium is going away. Not the church is going away. Belgium is going away. But look at where people are reproducing. This is basic facts of life. Sometimes I have to explain the facts of life to college students. What did you guys tell them? That's now you have to, talk to a girl before, it's like. But in Africa, they're having lots of kids, and the African population is growing fastest in the world, and the Catholic population in Africa is growing faster than the population in Africa overall. So the faith is in the fastest growing continent in the world is growing even faster than the population is growing. Southeast Asia, China, we don't hear about it a lot because it's persecuted, but lots of Christians. So we can get kind of focused in and say, oh, this has changed, that has changed. And we all have the benefit of being in a beautiful place like Bismarck, where the faith is still very fully alive. Whenever I travel, I'm very grateful to be in Bismarck because we have so much energy and life going on. But whenever you experience that worry, when you turn the TV on and you watch your news or go on the internet and find your news headlines, or someone's trying to convince you to be afraid or doubtful of the church's vitality, that just know that that's coming from the devil. Like that's evil thoughts, and they're to be rejected. And plus, if let's say something bad is happening, you have two options. Is being anxious about it and frustrated and angry, is that helping anything? No, it's hurting you, it's hurting everyone around you, and you're falling victim to the trap. The trap is people are lying to you, and the devil's trying to trick you. Or, at the very least, when you experience something negative, just pray for it. Turn off the TV, right? Pray for it. It's so funny, the things that actually matter. Father Clemmer's little exhortation. No one predicted Medjugorje was going to be this massive place of transformation. Here, pop, there it is. Like, look at our different things that are happening even in our diocese. No one predicts this, our 5-year plans or whatever. Leave that to the communists. They can figure out 5-year plans. We just make ourselves radically disposed to God's grace, and then he surprises us all the time with the new things that he's working through, right? So whenever you're tempted to discouragement and despair or worry or frustration, just give that to God. Let him figure out his church. It's his church. He can take care of it, and he is, right? You're not a better God than he is, so let him work it out, right? You pray for it, you do your little efforts, right? You provide for the needs of the church as you see fit, and then you'll die, and then you'll be in heaven interceding for us forever, the ones left on earth. So that's the game plan there. So don't let worry and anxiety tempt you. It's easy. It's like eating ice cream. You ever eat ice cream when you are full? You eat it anyway. It's like, oh yeah. And you kind of start feeling bad about yourself, but you still like it. That's what watching the news to get anxious. It's bad, but it feels good, kind of in a bad way. Like, just turn off the news, turn off the TV, and say a prayer. If you're getting to that point where it's affecting your mood or affecting your hope, this Jubilee year of hope, right? Then say a prayer and do your little part here, which is great. And you're doing your little part in the kingdom of God, and that's beautiful. A little update on the University of Mary. Things are going great. Speaking of signs of life and vitality, things are going great up there. We have too many kids. It's kind of nice. They're little troopers out there, but some of them are big troopers. But anyway, we have more space. We have more people out there than we have space right now. So that's really exciting. Things are very healthy out there. I made this year. It's my 5th year at the University of Mary. I made with university ministry a priority this year, pro-life activity. So it's always been very strong out there. But I just felt after, and even affected me a little bit, after the overturning of Roe v. Wade, there was some kind of where's this going? What's the National March for Life? All this other stuff. But we took double the amount of people we've ever taken to the local March for Life at the state capitol. So we brought 250 students there, and we helped start that. So the university and the Diocese of Bismarck started the State March for Life mostly because of COVID. It was because of the all the stuff that was happening during that time. And so we had one at the State March, which is good, but we've kept that up, and that is providential in a certain way, because now the battle for life of unborn children has really taken more of a state-centered look, and we have to be vigilant, because even in our little corner of paradise here in North Dakota, there's still a lot of efforts and power of people who don't support life, unborn life, and we have to be vigilant about that, primarily in prayer and witness, but then also in our activities to say it's not like it couldn't happen here, and praise God, in places like South Dakota, they supported life this past election, which was a good kind of sign, but it's also a national issue, and so we're taking the largest group we've ever taken to Washington, D.C. in a couple of weeks. I'll get on the bus. It's well over 30 hours on that bus, so that is my little sacrifice I make. Nothing more enjoyable than being on a bus with 50 other college students. And then we go down there. We're going to meet with some of our congressional leaders down there. It's just kind of nice. They're going to say hi to us. We have Mass with all the schools of North Dakota down there and other people, and the buses from the diocese, and then we go march. And I'm really excited about that. For our six full buses, 300 kids going down all the way to DC, all paying their own money. So it's going to be a massive operation. Yeah, you can clap. So that's really exciting. I was telling my table, good news about. People come to the university for various reasons. One young lady came from Las Vegas just to play volleyball. She was sort of raised vaguely Christian. She was never baptized. But just in the friends that she made in the programs we have, she ended up becoming baptized and becoming a practicing Catholic. She graduated and is at graduate school playing D1 volleyball at the University of North Dakota, UND, North Dakota, still D1. So she's carrying her Catholic witness now to a different institution where she had none before. Our heavyweight wrestler this year, he entered the church last year, so he came for wrestling. Now he's nationally ranked at the University of Mary for wrestling, but he's also now wrestling as a Catholic. So there's all these stories. One girl came for nursing and went to a Bible study her first year. Kind of one thing led to another. Took her time, but then now in her senior year, she's entering the church in March, and there's all sorts of those stories. So it's like the fruits of our labors. We never see exactly what are the results of our prayers and actions, but God sometimes in his mercy allows us to see those sorts of things. So that's really, really powerful. But we have about 10 people entering the church at least this Easter. So that's really exciting. That's been pretty consistent, about 10 each year from all over the country. And not just because, not like, so sometimes it's a boyfriend or girlfriend, but a lot of times it's just this personal journey that they're on. And sometimes we think like this is it kind of rankles me sometimes when people say like people are leaving religion. There was a shift, and granted, everyone tries to predict cultural shifts. Imagine having a job where you try to predict that stuff. It's like the weatherman. You just can be wrong all the time, and people still listen to you. It's like why would you ever listen to you? But they always say, oh, this is where the culture is going. You know what the one predictable thing about human nature, cultures is it's unpredictable. Everyone always says, life is going to go on this trajectory, right? And then what does it actually do? Like this. Gen Z, I'm a millennial. My generation was kind of like secularizing. Like our generation, we liked coffee shops and craft breweries and different things like that. But the generation below me, they're much more like inclined to the faith, right? And we have to also assume when these people who left practicing faith, when they start having kids and they're raising them with nothing, their kids are going to say like, well, what's the point of life? Like, why do I exist? Where am I doing? Where am I going? And you see that even in some of the political things that are happening with younger voters and stuff. It's like everyone just assumes everything goes in one direction, but it's actually much more complicated than that. And that's why it doesn't even make sense to lose hope, because it's just like false pretenses. But also, like, there's a lot of excitement. Like young people, especially this has been going on even in my generation, but like young people sometimes lose the faith more than maybe their elders did. But the ones that buy into the faith buy into it a lot of times than their elders did. So the ones who are in kind of are like all in. And the ones that are out, we pray for and we work it with. But it's a little different than like a more cultural approach to the faith that maybe was present in previous years. And who knows what was in the hearts of those people. And it doesn't really matter to us. But I know what I see, and there's a lot of youth and vitality. I just came from Salt Lake City, where they have this national conference for university students called Seek. So last year it was their biggest ever. There was just one. It was in St. Louis, and there were 17,000 people there. And then this year there were 17,000 people there. But there was also a different conference going on at the exact same time. They split it up a little bit, and there was 3,000 more. So there's 20,000 people participating, and like a little satellite one in Germany, where alumni from UMary are serving as missionaries actually in Germany to preach it. And if you're worried about Germany, Germany's rough. Okay, they struggle. So if you're going to despair about one place, maybe Germany. But no, just kidding. That's it. Just tell when your family's got out of there, that was the good choice. There's in the intervening 100, it hasn't been a good century for the Germans. So anyway, so we're sending people back there to evangelize. That's good. But basically, it was really cool to see that. Bishop Austin Vetter, who was my pastor at St. Pat's in Dickinson when I was growing up, and I served with him here at the cathedral as his fellow priest. He preached one of the masses, so that was really cool. He preached in front of everyone. He had a great homily, and it was short in classic Bishop Vetter fashion. It was nice. Everyone was grateful because the other bishops, they took their time. Let's just say that. He was short to the point and had a great message. It was amazing. So it was really cool to see him up there in that big stage. And he did a great job. But we had about 160 of our students go down there, and like I said, about 17,000 just in Salt Lake City, right next to the Mormon temple. That was kind of fun. So yeah, I thought about taking some wives, but I didn't. I came back. Just kidding. I didn't think. Well, okay. Anyway. So that's kind of the excitement going on. There's a lot going on. We have at least 200 students go to daily mass. We have, for a holy day, we'll have 1,000 students go to mass, and they come into town too, which is great. I'm sure you see at your parishes. Sometimes it's alumni. Sometimes it's who knows, they live in town still. But we have a lot of our students come into town too. So they benefit our parishes and our. And just be patient with them. Sometimes they're a little awkward, or just give them an encouragement. Say, maybe you could take a shower today or something. But overall, they're good. They're good people. Anyway, there is a sign. I used to say this every once in a while, but there's a sign now. And this is student-led. The students chose to do this. There's these little, they call them like table tents or whatever, but they're just like these little advertisements on the table for things going on campus. And one right now just says, wash your socks, which is, that is like, but that's not like, that is like a good message for them. Because like, at a certain point, you just got to wash your socks, but especially in the winter. It gets a little stagnant out there in the winter. Beautiful weather. So yeah, some of those things are things that are going on. I wanted to leave some time just for questions. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'm not like, I'm the chaplain out there, so that's my area of knowledge. Don't ask me about.
I have one question.
Yes.
Monsignor G started perpetual Eucharistic adoration out there. Is it still going?
Yes, I mean,
Amen.
he started. That was one of our big initiatives last year, so we started that, which means 350-ish students sign up for an hour, two people an hour, and we get it going every semester. So that's 24/7, 2 students at least, and it's fun. It's fun going in there at random times because so many people come in and out just for little visits. It's quite the place. That's a great question. So yeah, we're still doing that. It's going strong. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your Janary thing?
Yeah, well, we just had a fun one last night. I've been doing this. You guys would be more familiar with it, but like a late night show, like a late show in the style of Johnny Carson or whatever, Jay Leno type thing. But I'm the host of it. It just kind of sounds funny, but we get guests in from within the university and from all over the country. That people pass through, and we just have them on there, and it's a lot of fun. So usually we get a couple hundred, but after 4 years of doing this, I decided I was going to be the guest. So I found a guest host. She's this great young lady on campus who works for us, but she was the guest host, and so I was the guest. But we had 400 people come to it last night. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We have a live band. You have stage lighting and all this other stuff. So it's really kind of a fun time. Because one of the things I started at UMary in 2020, which was right in the heart of like COVID. So that was it was odd. But one thing with like working with young people, you just want to try to cram as many people into a small space as possible, which is hard because you weren't supposed to do it at that point. But like now it's fun. There's just like this hunger on their part to just be with people, like, and that's what we try to cultivate because they remember those times. It was really hard, to not be around the people that you loved and to be kind of isolated and to pretend like you can learn on your computer and different things like that, or like have social life on your screens. It's false. They know it. Every time in class I talk about how like good it is to be in person, and they all nod their heads like yes, yes, yes. And like all the students, they like it when it can be on the screen because they can wear their sweatpants and they can not pay attention. But they know deep down they're not learning. They call it virtual learning. That's right. It's virtually learning, just like virtual friendships. That's what it means. Not it's like it's like it, but it's not learning. So anytime we can just cram a bunch of people in a space, the Surgeon General declared an epidemic of loneliness in this country, and that's true. And so that's something you can pray for them for when they experience loneliness. But we do a lot with the faith, but we do a lot on just the human level to help them form friendships, form, happy, healthy, holy marriages. Oh yeah, there's a vocation update, the kind of most pertinent thing. So we sent 5 young men who are from our diocese. They went to UMary and they entered seminary for our diocese. A couple parents in here of those 5. So 5 guys from UMary joined the Diocese of Bismarck Seminary last year, this summer, and we got a few more guys in the pipeline. So we're sending guys to the diocese from our diocese, and then we sent I think it was 6 not from our diocese back to their home diocese. So we had at least 11 young men join seminary last year, and we do the same with religious life with young women from all around the country. So definitely is working well there for vocations, and thanks for all your work with them. But yeah, last year was a good year for us for the Diocese of Bismarck.
Any marriages between?
Oh yeah, well that goes without saying. Yeah, it's fun. They invite me, so I go all around the country, marrying off UMary kids. So that's fun. That's a lot of fun, and they're always fun because it's like little mini alumni reunions. They kind of gather up and. This one wedding I did in Denver a couple months ago, like all the bridesmaids were pregnant. It's like they're all getting married out having kids. Like, it was just very funny. So they were married, but, it was just like a maternity ward. It was just like everyone was around. But so yeah, lots of marriages. It's fun. I was just talking. my table too, and talking about like there's more women than men, so it's a little, it's kind of it's good for if your young men in your life, you think that send them to you, Mary. They have their Father Dosh always says they're always married. They, like the girlfriends and wives that they get are way out of their league. They for the guys they trade up. Just if they want to get married and they have a faith life, like that is like the most attractive thing. So they can really kind of up their worth, so to speak, not in God's eyes, but in women's eyes. But lots and lots of marriages all summer, and even I just had one at Cathedral over Christmas break of St. Mary's kids who were UMary kids who I married off, and they go back to their home diocese. So it's it's very funny. It's like they want a lot of them go in there just like I want to get married and have kids. Like sometimes like just just like take it easy, but I don't know, they are very excited about that prospect. So it's a very lively dating and marriage culture out there. So you have nothing to worry about. That's fine. That's a good question. Yes.
Oh yes, I'm gonna toot my own horn, I guess.
Good.
I have a grandson that's started this year in St. Louis, so I'm really happy about that. So my son is 4 boys and 3 girls. He's a little young though. He's right out of a private high school, but they're pretty well trained by the time they get out of there.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
What are you doing for you said the enrollment is up and it's a good problem to have. Do they anticipate that continuing? And if so, what are they doing for housing or?
Yeah, that is not my sort of area of expertise, but I do know the goal is not to grow infinitely. In terms of undergraduate freshmen, the goal is 510. So sometimes in the past it was like above, sometimes it was below, but now we've consistently had over our goal a couple years in a row, which is why the housing crunch. So I don't know what the plans are to address that, but I know right now nursing education is very popular, so that's kind of obviously the bread and butter of how the sisters set up the school. So we have a lot of great nursing programs and enthusiasm. But it's our other programs too that are popular. But yeah, I'm not sure the ins and outs of what the plan is.
They're not living in tents though. I mean,
No tents. Yeah. Looking for host families. No, just kidding. Yes.
Can we view your late night shows?
So people have asked me that before. The only way I'd like to have it like streamed or whatever is if we had like a full sort of like to make it look good, not just like on someone's phone holding it. So if that ever happens, yes. But you're always welcome to come. There's pretty much, you can always email me to see if it's happening this week, but it's most Thursdays at 8 p.m. So you're always welcome to come. So you can get lunch in the Crow's Nest cafeteria right before, eat as much ice cream as you want. The kids do. So yeah, so right now it's not streaming, but you can certainly come. Next week is Dr. James Link, who's out there now, so he's a good friend of the diocese too. Yes?
where's it held?
Right in the main student center. So where everything happens, like ordination dinners or whatever. Right in that, but it's like right in the middle. It's kind of cool. It's like a thoroughfare also, so it's like people walk by, they can watch it for a little bit. But yeah, last night it was kind of a zoo. The live band is really cool. That's the coolest part in some ways. Sometimes they're jazz, sometimes they're like classic rock, which is kind of funny. But students, they just do it out of the love of performance, so, and the university. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you for your prayers. Pray for us out at UMary too, and let's not be afraid, as God says many times. So, thank you.